Bill Keating just called Trump's foreign policy team the Chaos Cabinet. And after hearing his breakdown, you'll see exactly why America's credibility with allies, and even its strength against Russia and China, is hanging by a thread.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to take my time to react to the testimony already given. The three pillars that each of the witnesses and the Secretary highlighted. Pillar number one, restore the warrior ethos. You know, I've had the privilege in this committee to see firsthand a special window of our troops, their courage, their tenacity, their commitment. You don't have to restore the warrior ethos, sir. It's already there. We've never lost it. Pillar two, I just want to highlight something that is a concern. Pillar two is the border security issue. And among that, I'm really worried about the agreement with El Salvador that exists. I think it's very cloudy. We don't know exactly what they're getting in return for their commitment to house the hellhole prisons, in the hellhole prisons they have, people that are shipped there, transported there illegally. But there's problems with that. It violates the Constitution, number one. It violates the First Step Act that President Trump paraded around and took so much credit for in his first term, he and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. It violates the Leahy Law, which prohibits federal money to be used for prisons of that type. It violates the Foreign Assistance and Transparency and Accountability Act that our Secretary of State was a proud sponsor of, that demands taxpayer accountability for monies, because all we know is the White House has said they've given El Salvador, given their strongman, Bukele, $6 million. But then they're holding another $15 million in international narcotics and control and law enforcement to the side for prospective use here. And of concern, too, is we're now transferring helicopters, military assets, to Bukele. We're giving him helicopters. And I'm concerned about that. Supposedly it's there for humanitarian reasons. It's being taken away from the Drug Control Task Force dealing with the fentanyl issue. And now it's there for humanitarian reasons in Bukele's control. And I'm just worried about going down the road here. I think there should be strict oversight of what they're getting from the U.S. If that's not there and there's dark money and dark assets being passed, we could have the makings of another Iran-Contra. Thirdly, the third pillar, deterrence. And I look to what every expert militarily, from a security standpoint, said is the greatest deterrent that we have with China and Russia, and our greatest weakness if we lose it. And that's the war in Ukraine. If we fail to support Ukraine and Ukraine loses, that's a green light for China. That's just not my opinion. That's virtually every security expert. We have something China and Russia don't have. We have a coalition of 50 countries, 50 dealing together. They don't have anything near that. Yet, you've attacked that alliance. You said they're pathetic. You called them freeloaders. They have paid, and we want more money, and they're giving more money for their own defense, but they've given $199 billion towards Ukraine, more than the U.S., by the way. And they're not freeloaders when they came to our assistance at 9/11. They suffered thousands of casualties, several hundred deaths. They're young men and women, sacrificed to defend Article 5, the only time it was exercised for the United States. They're not freeloaders dealing with that. And yet today, you attacked one of them saying that now you've confirmed that the U.S. has plans in place to invade the territory of a founding member of NATO, Denmark. That's not being strength. That's not being strong. It's also chaotic. This is the chaos cabinet when it comes to Ukraine. Secretary of the Treasury, Putin is a war criminal. Trump's chief negotiator, Putin is trustworthy. He's not a bad guy. Secretary of State, Putin was a war criminal, I guess, but now he's not. He doesn't know. Trump says Ukraine was the aggressor. The Secretary of State says Russia was the aggressor. You, sir, the Secretary of Defense, said Russia was the aggressor. The chair of Joint Chiefs said yesterday that Putin would even stop at Ukraine. The Trump ambassador resigned because of this policy, and I think Vice President Vance said it best. He said he doesn't care what happens to Ukraine one way or the other. That is not strength. That is not using our coalition. That is not deterrence. You're wrong on all your pillars. I yield back.
Gentleman yields.
Bill Keating didn't just challenge Pete Hegseth in this hearing. He dismantled the entire credibility of Trump's foreign policy team. He called it what it is, the chaos cabinet. And that phrase isn't just a soundbite. It captures the heart of the problem: confusion, contradictions, and a dangerous lack of consistency in how Trump's camp talks about America's role in the world. Think about it. On one hand, top officials say Putin is a war criminal. On the other, Trump's negotiator calls Putin trustworthy and not a bad guy. Trump himself even went as far as to suggest Ukraine was the aggressor. These aren't minor slip-ups. They're mixed signals that adversaries like Russia and China pay very close attention to. When America sends contradictory messages, it doesn't project strength, it projects weakness. And worse, it opens the door for leaders like Putin to exploit that division. Keating also reminded the committee of something often forgotten in today's political noise: our alliances matter. NATO, the transatlantic coalition, is not a group of freeloaders as Trump has so often called them. These allies stepped up after 9/11, sacrificing lives alongside Americans under Article 5, the only time it has ever been invoked in NATO's history. That solidarity is our strength. Yet what happens when leaders dismiss allies as pathetic or treat NATO as a burden rather than a shield? It erodes trust, weakens deterrence, and emboldens adversaries who are betting on America's isolation. And Keating's warning about Ukraine wasn't just political theater. If Ukraine falls, it's not just about one country. It's about the message it sends globally. China is watching closely. Russia is testing limits. And smaller nations, from the Baltics to the Pacific, are asking, can America be trusted to defend democracy, or will it retreat into chaos? That's why Keating's frustration cut so deep. To him, what's at stake isn't just Ukraine, but the credibility of the United States on the world stage. Now here's the takeaway. When leaders in the same administration can't agree on who the aggressor is, when they openly contradict each other about whether Putin is a criminal or a friend, it's not just embarrassing, it's dangerous. Allies start doubting us, enemies start testing us, and ordinary Americans are left wondering whether foreign policy decisions are being made with strategy in mind or just politics. This is why Keating's phrase, chaos cabinet, sticks. Because chaos in Washington doesn't stay in Washington. It ripples across the globe, from Europe to Asia, shaping the choices of adversaries who thrive on American confusion. If there's one lesson here, it's that consistency matters, credibility matters, and the stakes couldn't be higher, because this isn't just about policies. It's about whether the U.S. can still be the steady hand in a volatile world. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. That way, you won't miss the next deep dive into the stories shaping our future. Your engagement keeps this conversation alive, and together, we can cut through the chaos to understand what's really at stake.